You've done this. You've walked a gravel bar or a washout in high desert country, and you've stepped over a white stone the size of a chicken egg without even slowing down. Because white rocks are everywhere. Milky quartz, chalky limestone, a piece of somebody's old bottle rolled smooth by the water. After 40 years of picking up white rocks that turned out to be nothing, your brain learned to filter them out completely. And I want to tell you plainly, that's not carelessness. Nobody ever taught you the difference. Here's the part that stings a little. Gems are not rare. What's rare is knowing what a gem looks like before it's been cut, polished, and put behind glass with a price tag on it. The stone that's worth $1,000 in the ground looks nothing like the one in the jewelry store window. And that's the exact reason everybody walks past it. So today I'm giving you 7 white stones found on American ground that, in good material, can be worth more per carat than a commercial diamond. For each one, you get what it actually looks like in the rough, the ground it has to be sitting in to exist at all, a 5-second field check you can do with a pocket knife, and honest value ranges. Stay to the end because number 7 looks so much like the milky quartz you've been tossing off the tailgate for years that it has been thrown out by real rockhounds for decades. Before we go any further, if you've ever carried a white stone home in your pocket, dead certain it was something, only to find out it was nothing. Tell me in the comments what you thought you had. Now, the reason white gemstones fool everybody is worth understanding, because once you get it, the whole game changes. In the earth, most of the color you see in a finished gemstone comes from trace amounts of metal: iron, chromium, titanium, manganese, vanadium. A pinch of chromium and you get a ruby. A whisper of iron and titanium and you get a blue sapphire. But a lot of the rarest gem minerals on Earth form in chemistry so clean, so scrubbed of those metals that they come out colorless or milky white. That's not a defect. That's a fingerprint of an unusual environment. When a mineral is white because it's chemically pure, you're looking at proof that something very specific happened in that rock, and specific means rare. There are 3 of those environments, and almost every white gem in North America comes out of one of them. The first is a pegmatite, the last, slowest, wettest gasp of a cooling granite body, where the leftover fluid is loaded with water and rare elements like beryllium, lithium, and fluorine. And crystals grow in open pockets with room to form clean faces. The second is a cavity in volcanic rock, a gas bubble or a crack in basalt or in a rhyolite ash flow, where hot, silica-rich water seeps in over millions of years and lays down layer after layer inside a hollow shell. The third is a squeeze zone, where 2 different rock types were mashed together and cooked under pressure, and new minerals grew along that contact. That's where jade comes from. So here's your foundation, and it's simple. You don't hunt white stones by scanning the ground for white. You hunt the ground first. Find the pegmatite, the volcanic cavity zone, or the contact line, and only then start looking down. Any white stone lying in an ordinary stream bed cut through ordinary sandstone is almost certainly ordinary quartz. The same white stone lying at the foot of a weathered pegmatite outcrop is a completely different conversation. Mechanism first. Stone second. That's the whole difference between coming home with a bucket and coming home with a find. Let's start with precious white opal, and here's the part that shocks people. Opal isn't a crystal at all. It's silica gel that never got organized. Microscopic spheres of silica stacked in orderly rows with water trapped between them, up to 20% water by weight in some material. Those stacked spheres bend light into flashes of green, blue, orange, and red, and that flash is called play of color. In the rough, precious opal doesn't announce itself. It looks like a piece of dirty candle wax or a chunk of white soap sitting in gray volcanic ash, slightly translucent on a thin edge, waxy, not glassy. The tell is not the color of the body, it's what happens when you tilt it. Get the sun behind your shoulder, turn the stone slowly, and watch for a single pinfire flash that moves across the surface and dies when you stop turning. Common quartz never does that. Ever. A flash that moves is opal, and a flash that stays put is a shiny cleavage face on something else. Fine white opal with strong, broad play of color has sold in the range of a few hundred to well over $1,000 per carat, which puts good material above a commercial-grade 1-carat diamond on a per-carat basis. And it forms in volcanic ash in the top few feet of ground, where groundwater carried dissolved silica down through the ash and filled every void, including in Nevada's Virgin Valley, the hollow spaces left behind by buried ancient wood. Virgin Valley in Humboldt County, Nevada has fee dig operations open to the public, and Spencer, Idaho is another well-known public dig. Look in the ash layers, in old dig faces, and in the loose spoil where somebody else's pick already broke the ground open. Now here's the beginner's mistake that cost people their find. Virgin Valley opal is famous for crazing. That trapped water escapes, and the stone cracks into a spiderweb as it dries. So you carry a jar of water. You put the opal in the water the second you find it, and you keep it there. I've watched a man lose a $200 stone to the dashboard of his truck on a July afternoon. Don't be that guy. And if you want a white gem that flashes without needing any water at all, we go from volcanic ash straight into granite. Moonstone is next, and almost nobody outside professional gemology knows that Moonstone isn't a mineral name. It's a nickname for a light effect. It's feldspar, the most abundant mineral group in the Earth's crust, roughly 60% of it. But in rare cases, feldspar cools in a way that separates it into microscopically thin, alternating layers of two slightly different feldspars. Light bounces between those layers and scatters, and you get a floating blue-white glow that seems to sit under the surface, not on it. In the rough, Moonstone looks like a cloudy chunk of white or gray glass with flat, square-cornered breaks. That's your first clue. Feldspar has two good cleavage directions that meet at almost exactly 90 degrees, so it breaks into blocky pieces with step-like flat phases. Quartz doesn't do that. Quartz breaks in curved, shell-like fractures. Look at the break, not the color. Then wet the stone, tilt it, and watch for a soft, billowy sheen that rolls across the piece like light on the inside of a seashell. Where do you find it? Weathered pegmatite outcrops in the sandy wash below them, where crumbling granite has already released the feldspar for you. Virginia's pegmatite belt around Amelia County, parts of the North Carolina mountains, and the rhyolite country of central New Mexico, where clear sanidine feldspar weathers right out of the volcanic rock and lies loose on the surface. Fine blue sheen moonstone and cut stones can bring $100 a carat and up, while cloudy gray material with no sheen is worth almost nothing, which is exactly why the tilt test matters more than the size of the rock. The beginner's mistake with Moonstone is grabbing every white feldspar in the wash. 95% of it will be dead. You're not collecting feldspar. You're collecting the one piece in 100 where the light actually moves. Quick pause here because everything I just walked you through, the tilt, the break, the ground it has to be sitting in, plus dozens more signs like it, is what's inside the Rockhound's Compass 2026 edition. 50 field-tested ways to tell a gem from a pretty rock before you ever leave the creek. What each stone looks like in the rough, and the ground that has to be there for it to exist at all. Links in the description, QR codes on the screen. This is the season you stop filling buckets with quartz. Now let's talk about the heaviest white stone on this list, and I mean that literally. White sapphire. Same mineral as ruby, corundum, aluminum oxide, and when it forms with no chromium, no iron, no titanium, it comes out colorless, gray-white, or faintly milky. Hardness 9, the second hardest natural substance there is, and here's the field check that ends every argument. Pick it up and feel the weight. Corundum has a specific gravity around 4. Quartz is 2.65. Glass is 2.5. That means a white sapphire pebble feels roughly 50% heavier in your palm than a quartz pebble the same size. Your hand can absolutely learn that difference. Hold a known quartz pebble in one hand and the mystery stone in the other, and the heavy one gets your attention. In the rough, Montana sapphire from the gravels looks like a flattened glassy lozenge or a little barrel, often with a frosted satin-etched skin from being tumbled, and if you hold it up to the light, you'll see it's translucent to clear with a faint gray, straw, or ice blue cast. Look for a six-sided outline. Corundum grows in a hexagonal system, and even worn stones keep a hint of that six-sided profile. Where does it sit? In gravel, specifically the coarse gravel on the inside of river bends and behind boulders, where heavy stones drop out of the current first, exactly the same trap that catches gold. Rock Creek near Phillipsburg, Montana has fee dig operations open to the public, and the Missouri River bars northeast of Helena are a long-documented sapphire district. Clean, well-colored Montana sapphire runs a few $100s per carat and up for good-cut stones. Pale, cloudy material is worth a fraction of that. But even a pale one is a genuine hardness 9 gem, and here's the beginner's mistake. People wash gravel looking for blue. Montana's sapphires are mostly pale. The colorless and near-white ones get thrown back by the bucketful by people who came for blue and left with nothing. And if weight in the hand is your friend with sapphire, the next stone is identified by something even simpler. Sound? White nephrite jade. Wyoming is the jade state, and the white variety is the one that stops collectors cold because in top grades, fine white nephrite has reportedly sold for more per gram than gold. That's not hype about a category. That's the very best, evenly colored, flawless material. The stuff Chinese carvers have called mutton fat jade for 1,000 years. In the rough, jade is the least impressive rock in the field. It looks like a dirty potato. Waxy or greasy luster, never glassy. A weathered brown or rusty skin, often polished smooth by wind and water. And if there's a broken face, you'll see it's not crystalline at all. It's a dense, felted mass of microscopic, interlocking fibers, which is why jade is the toughest natural stone on Earth. It won't chip. Hit a piece of quartz with a hammer and it shatters into shards. Hit nephrite and the hammer bounces. That interlocking fiber structure is also the source of the best field check in rockhounding. Wrap 2 pieces together or tap one with a steel screwdriver. Jade rings. It gives a clear, bell-like note that hangs in the air for a second. Quartz and serpentine give a dull click. Once you've heard the ring, you'll never forget it. Jade forms in a squeeze zone, where old ocean floor rock got shoved against continental rock and cooked under pressure, growing new fibrous minerals along the contact. In Wyoming, that's the Granite Mountains country around Jeffrey City, Crooks Gap, and the Lander area, and the classic method is to walk sagebrush flats and dry washes after a hard rain looking for that greasy skin among the ordinary rocks. Understand that much of that country is a checkerboard of public land, private ranch land, and active mining claims, so know whose ground you're standing on before you fill a bucket. Good nephrite runs anywhere from a few dollars a pound for common green cutting rock to hundreds of dollars a pound for fine translucent white. The beginner's mistake? Walking right past it every single time because it doesn't sparkle. Jade never sparkles. It's the one gem where dull and greasy is exactly what you want. Look, I'll be straight with you. The 50 checks in the Rockhound's compass are laid out across 5 chapters, ordered so you can work through them right in the field. Book open in one hand, stone in the other. No cell signal required. It's for the person who has a box of unidentified rocks in the garage and has never had a straight answer about any of them. If you've been watching these videos thinking there's something out there you keep walking past, that's the move. Link in the description below, QR code on screen. Make this the year you finally know what you're holding. Number 5 takes us to Michigan, and this one genuinely shocks people who've collected for decades. Datolite. In the copper country of the Keweenaw Peninsula, datolite formed inside gas bubbles in ancient lava flows, and it came out as solid nodules of dense porcelain white material, the texture of a broken teacup but harder, and when you cut and polish it, it takes a glassy shine. Then it gets better. Because that same lava carried native copper, some datolite nodules have copper threaded and speckled and clouded through them, giving you pink, salmon, orange, and red patterning inside a white porcelain stone. There is nothing else like it anywhere on Earth. In the rough, a Keweenaw datolite nodule looks like a lumpy white or grayish tan potato with a chalky, crumbly rind, often still stuck to a piece of dark basalt. It's rounded, not crystal-shaped, and it feels dense, around 3, noticeably heavier than quartz. Hardness is only about 5 to 5.5, which means a steel knife blade will scratch it. And that's actually your check. A nodule that a knife bites into sitting in old copper mine rock is not quartz. Fine copper included datolite specimens have sold for hundreds to a few $1,000s each, which per gram beats a lot of small diamonds handily. Where do you look? Old mine dumps and rock piles in Houghton and Keweenaw counties, and the beach gravels below them where waves have already sorted the rock for you. Be careful and be honest about access. Many of those dumps are private property or have been closed for safety. So ask permission, use the sites that are legitimately open, and check locally before you dig. The beginner's mistake is obvious once you know. White, lumpy rock on a mine dump gets kicked aside as calcite. Calcite is everywhere in that country, but calcite is hardness 3. You can carve it with a nail, and a drop of vinegar will make it fizz. Datolite won't fizz and won't carve. 2 seconds and you know. Now let me tell you about a woman named Bobby Oscarson from Longmont, Colorado, because her story is the whole lesson in one afternoon. In June of 2000, she went to the Crater of Diamonds State Park in Murfreesboro, Arkansas, a public park sitting on top of an eroded volcanic pipe where the park plows the field and anybody who pays admission can search and keep what they find. She'd never done it before. She walked the plowed dirt for about 20 minutes, and she picked up an icy white stone, roughly the shape of a little triangular pillow, out of the loose surface soil. Not buried, not screened out of a wash pile, lying in plain sight where hundreds of people had already walked. She took it to the park's identification desk, and it turned out to be an 852-carat colorless diamond, the 5th largest found there since it became a state park. It was named the Esperanza Diamond, cut into a 4-6-carat gem by a master cutter, and reported valuations ran to around $1 million. Now think about what that stone looked like before anyone told her what it was. Small, white, glassy, slightly greasy looking, exactly like 100 other white pebbles in that field. The only reason it isn't still out there is that she bent down and asked the question. That's the entire skill. Not luck, not equipment. The willingness to look twice at a white stone and then have it checked instead of assuming it's nothing. And that brings us right back to our villain, because the reason people don't look twice is that they've been burned so many times by plain milky quartz. So let's finish the villain off properly before the last 2 stones. Common quartz is hardness 7, so a steel knife will not scratch it. The blade skates and leaves a gray metal smear that wipes off. It leaves no streak on the back of an unglazed ceramic tile, because it's harder than the tile. It scratches the tile instead. It's light in the hand at 2.65. Calcite, the other great white pretender, is hardness 3. Your knife bites in. It leaves a white streak on the tile and vinegar fizzes on it. And bottle glass, rolled frosty and beautiful in the gravel of every creek in America, has one dead giveaway. Bubbles. Perfectly round internal bubbles. No natural gemstone on Earth grows perfectly spherical bubbles inside itself. Hold it to the sun, look for the bubble, and if you find one, you're holding somebody's discarded soda bottle. 3 checks: a knife, a piece of tile, and the sun. That's how you stop filling buckets, which brings us to number 6, and to the pockets where the real prizes hide. White topaz. Topaz gets its color from oddities in its structure and from trace elements, and when a pocket forms clean, topaz comes out colorless, so clear and bright that it's been sold as a diamond substitute for centuries. In the rough, it's a stubby, prismatic crystal with fine, lengthwise striations running down the sides like scratches in a soda straw, and a wedge or chisel-shaped termination at the end. Hardness 8, so it scratches quartz. Specific gravity 3.5, so it's noticeably heavier than quartz. And it has one perfect cleavage across the crystal, which is why so many field-found topaz crystals have one glassy, flat, mirror-bright break at the end. It grows in gas cavities in rhyolite and in granite pegmatite pockets. Topaz Mountain in Utah's Toughness Range is famous for it, with public collecting areas where crystals weather out of the rock and lie loose in the seams and the talus below. And Colorado's pegmatite country around Crystal Peak has produced fine crystals for over a century. Clean-cut white topaz isn't expensive as a jewelry stone, but well-formed collector crystals from a named American locality can bring good money. And the reason it matters is this: Where you find topaz, you are standing in exactly the right chemistry for number 7. Phenakite. Say it once and then forget the name. What it is a beryllium silicate. And beryllium is one of the rarer elements in the Earth's crust. So this mineral can only form in that final, water-rich, rare element gasp of a cooling granite. That's why gem phenakite is genuinely rarer in the ground than diamond. Diamonds come up by the ton in kimberlite pipes worldwide. Clean face-table phenakite has come from a handful of pockets in Colorado, in Maine, in Virginia, in Brazil, and in the Ural Mountains, and fine-cut stones trade in the collector market from the high double digits into the hundreds of dollars per carat. Here's the cruel part, and here's the loop I opened at the start. It looks like quartz. Colorless to white, glassy, sitting in a pegmatite pocket next to actual quartz crystals. Rockhounds have thrown it on the dump pile for 150 years. So how do you catch it? 3 things. Shape. Phenakite forms short, stubby, blocky crystals, often lens or rhomb-shaped, sometimes flat and tabular, sometimes in wheel-like twins, and it does not form the long 6-sided pencil with a pointed cap that quartz makes. If a colorless crystal in a granite pocket is stubby, blocky, and doesn't come to a quartz style point, stop and look harder. Second, weight. Phenakite runs about 3 versus quartz at 2.65, so a piece the size of your thumb feels a shade heavier than it should. Third, luster and fire. Phenakite bends light more strongly than quartz, so a clean crystal held to the sun looks unusually bright and lively, almost oily brilliant, and a faceted stone shows real sparkle where quartz looks flat and watery. Where do you apply this? Weathered granite pegmatite outcrops in the pockets inside them, especially in the high country of central Colorado around Mount Antero and the Chalk Creek district, and in the old pegmatite quarries of Maine and Virginia. Look in the pocket clay, the soft, decomposed feldspar mush inside an opened cavity, and look on the old dump piles because the last 3 generations were hunting beryl and topaz and had no idea what else was in their hands. Then take the odd colorless crystals to a club meeting, a university geology department, or a gem lab and get them checked. That's the whole play. Not luck, just refusing to assume that white and glassy means worthless. So, which of these have you found before even if you didn't know what it was at the time? Tell me in the comments. I read them. And if you've got a white stone in that garage box with a chalky rind or a blocky shape you can't explain, describe it and let's see if we can narrow it down. Here's where you stand now. 25 minutes ago, a white stone was just a white stone. You know that a flash that moves means opal and a flash that stays put doesn't. You know that blocky 90-degree breaks mean feldspar and might mean moonstone? You know that a pebble 50% too heavy for its size is worth a second look. That jade rings like a bell and never chips. That a knife scratches datolite and vinegar fizzes on calcite. That round internal bubbles mean bottle glass every single time. And that a stubby, colorless crystal in a pegmatite pocket might be one of the rarest gem minerals on this continent. Most importantly, you know to read the ground before you read the rock. Ash beds, volcanic cavities, weathered pegmatites, contact zones, and the inside of river bends where heavy things settle. If you'd like more of this, the plain English version of what 40 years in the field teaches you, subscribing keeps it coming. And here's the honest reason too. Next time you walk a gravel bar, you don't want to be the person who stepped over something worth more than gold and kept right on walking. Next time we're going after the color that fools more rockhounds than any other. The reds and pinks in the gravel and how to tell a real garnet from stained agate and cheap glass in under 10 seconds. Until then, go take another look in that garage box. Something in there is probably better than you were told. Good hunting out there, Rockhound.